I understand that the reason that we're here is, one, we're in Chile, two, we're from computer science and engineering, and this is the right conference to come to from our discipline, but three, because 3 years ago I wrote and published a paper in the communications of the ACM about ICT sector employment. And the organisers of the conference thought that it might be useful for me to talk about that issue in relation to professional practice and some curriculum, innovative curriculum developments that we are involved with in New Zealand at our university. So that is why we're here, despite the fact that I cannot speak to you this afternoon in Spanish. So, to begin, in a moment I'll make some words of introduction just to explain a little more of my background, and then to talk about some statistics, some demographics from New Zealand that are relevant to the concept of ICT sector employment. I'll talk about ICT, information and communications technologies, as a term throughout the talk, rather than just only computer science or computer engineering. We're going to talk a little about our university, AUT, stands for Auckland University of Technology, address some professional issues which I believe are consistent with professional issues in Chile and in fact throughout the world in terms of computing and computer engineering. Finally, I'm going to talk a little about this new curriculum that has been developed in Dr. Garden's faculty, where computer science and engineering are being blended with other disciplines to create a new degree, a degree that we have called Bachelor of Creative Technologies.
Significa otra cosa que no me
acuerdo. That's me over there. A younger version of me. This is the logo from our university. I completed my PhD a very long time ago, in 1979, and looking at the audience, I think some people were not born in 1979, in London, in England. And my PhD was in formal methods for computational linguistics. So that's the area that I wrote my PhD in. I'm a fellow of the New Zealand Computer Society, and in fact I'm past president of the society as well. My job as Deputy Vice-Chancellor, sometimes I think I'm called a pro-rector in Chile and sometimes the vice-rector, but whatever it is, I'm the number 2 in the university. So I do a lot of administration now in my career, but I still hold a professorship in computer science, and I'm a member of the School of Mathematical and Computing Sciences, which is in a faculty of, with a new name called Design and Creative Technologies. And I'll come back and talk about that a little later. And as I say, I'm currently on sabbatical leave in Talca, where I'm working with researchers at UCM and at the University of Talca in the area of geomatics, which is another area of my research. I bring you greetings, or we bring you greetings from Aotearoa, New Zealand. The official name for our country is not only New Zealand, it's Aotearoa, New Zealand. And the first word, Aotearoa, is a word in the Maori language, the indigenous people of our nation. And it means land of the long white cloud. And a long time ago I took this photograph because it so reminded me of the name of our country, the long white cloud. As I mentioned, I'm working with researchers in Talca, and because we're working in geoinformatics and geomatics generally, it's interesting to note that Talca and Auckland are almost identical on the latitude of the globe. 36 degrees south for Auckland, 35 degrees south for Tauka. You'll notice, of course, there is a difference in the longitude because we're on opposite sides of the planet. But the work that we're doing in our research is building an environmental model using computational neural networks to model environmental influences around various agronomy issues, particularly for us at the moment in the area of grape growing and wine production, which both of our countries are very active in, growing the grapes and drinking the wine. So we're doing this work together, and you'll note that we're a little over 9,000 kilometres away from one another. So although we have many things in common, we also have a number of things that are different. New Zealand, you may know about New Zealand, but just very quickly, it's also a long, thin country, but not as long as Chile. We have 4.2 million people, not 15.2 million people. I noticed that on my Chilean ID card, the first two digits are 22. So I must be the 22nd millionth person in this country, which I know is not quite correct, but that's the number of ID cards that there are. So we're small by comparison with people. If you look down here at the pie graph here, you'll see that Europeans count for 76% of our nation's demography. The indigenous people of New Zealand, the Maori people, constitute 15% of the population. We have a growing number of Pacific Island and Asian peoples now living in New Zealand. From the Pacific Islands, we have 8% of our population, and that's growing very rapidly. And from Asia, that is Southeast Asia, and also from Central Asia, 9% of our population. So we are, in fact, a very multicultural country. But we also have a lot of people, by the way, from Latin America, and a growing number of people from Chile. And it turns out that more and more are coming to study for PhDs, unfortunately with me. So the number is growing very quickly. How I can cope, I'm not sure. But we are of course, extremely enthusiastic about encouraging our young people to come to Chile and for young people to come from Chile to New Zealand. Auckland, where Kathy and I are from where our university is, has 1.5 million people. So most of the population, as you can see, is in the north of the two islands, the North Island and the South Island, and the concentration of population is in Auckland, 1.5 million people. New Zealand has 8 universities. We are one of 8 universities, and also 13 polytechnics. And the careers, the degrees that are offered in the polytechnics and the universities, every one of those institutions offers courses in computing, sometimes computer science, sometimes information technology, but only 5 of the institutions offer engineering. So where computer science and computer engineering are together, the number is smaller than the actual number of the universities or polytechnics. 5 of the universities are in the North Island, 3 of those are in Auckland, and 3 universities are in the South Island.